Le ha sobrado distancia, le van a servir. Tiene altura, tiene profundidad, va a llegar. ¡Va a llegar! ¡Gano lo ganó! 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 ¡Señor! ¡Gano lo ganó!
All right.
Le ha sobrado distancia, le van a servir.
Guys, we were
tiene
going to
altura,
play
tiene
the
profundidad,
Spanish
va a llegar. ¡Va a llegar!
Gano
¡Gano lo ganó! ¡Gano lo ganó! ¡Gano lo ganó! ¡Gano lo ganó! ¡Gano lo ganó!
It's playing.
¡Gano lo
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I got it. It's playing right now, baby.
I can't hear the sound. All right, this is the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Tonight I'm with my boy, Cody Lashney. Cody, how are you? We just kicked a historic damn field goal right there. We busted through. We are, what are we? Are we 4-1 or 3-1?
We are 3-1.
3-1 is a good moment. We have won. The Spanish broadcast goes bananas, and we're here to talk about Panthers football. How are you, Cody?
I am fine. You might not be happy right now because now we have no video.
Oh, that's cool. I got this fixed. Here we are.
Oh, okay.
Here we are. Sorry. We are reeling, folks. We're reeling. All right. Let's just keep this simple from this moment forward. We're going cat calls. We had our platform go no audio tonight. We reverted back to how we've been doing it in the past, and that also comes with its host of learning moments for me, who is trying to learn it in the last 8 seconds, how to get it all working right. So, Cody, can the people of the earth hear us talking about the Panthers right now?
They can hear us. They can see us. I think we're finally ready to hash it up about some Panthers football, baby. 26 people strong watching right now, 27 as I say that. They're ready, man. We got to deliver. Let's talk about some Panthers. I'm ready to do it.
Okay, the show tonight is cheating a giant blow, but a hunting party lies ahead. We should call them a wounded hunted party because we're going on to play the Skins, the Redskins, that offensive name right there. We're going to play them coming off a short week where they lost to the New Orleans Saints. They are backed into a corner at this point. They are wounded. They are feeling hurt. They are not well rested. And the Carolina Panthers are coming off a lucky moment and victory. Fortune, divine right, manifest destiny, whatever you want to call it, is shining upon us at this moment. We got away with one, but we got to get one more and continue to fight those dastardly Saints. So we're going to talk about all that tonight. We're going to talk about the thriller of a game that was in the 33-31, Cody?
33-31.
With a 63-yard historic field goal. We'll be talking about that this evening and the repercussions of that, or the implications, should I say, of that. The mixed performance on both sides of the ball. A little luck, a little help from the referees, and a game that felt kind of like a steal to many, but what I argue could have been crippling if we had not stolen it. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be a loser. And if you're starving, you got to steal sometimes to eat. And that's what the Panthers did. So we'll be talking about all that this evening. We encourage you to be a part of the show by joining in the YouTube chat. Thank you, everyone, for your patience in getting the show ready. We appreciate that for all of you that are there. You guys drive the conversation so much. It's so easy to just turn the show over to you guys and basically say, what should we talk about? Because that's all we are. We're fans hanging out, talking about football together. We encourage you to turn your phone to portrait mode and smash that thumbs up button and to help us grow. And you can also check out the donate link in the show notes under Patreon, or you can even buy an I Stand With Cam t-shirt or even something like this on our website. the voice of Panther Nation. One nation, one voice, the C3 t-shirt. So all those things are there. Cody, let's jump into this show right now. On the show tonight, I think we have to talk about this. Is to me, the things that are on the minds and the hearts of people are coaching, clock management, the return of Thomas Davis, the tease of Greg Olsen, all of those. We have all that to talk about. Where do you want to start? Coaching, clock management, or the return of Thomas Davis?
I mean, I honestly think we have to talk about the return of some players. One that we've been hoping for, and one that I didn't think we anticipated we would need this much. I kind of think that now that we've seen how our defense has performed, Thomas Davis might just be the heart and soul of this Carolina Panthers defense. And, I don't know if his absence has been the reason why we haven't been playing up to our potential. But I know one thing. Our players are excited to have him back. Thomas Davis is back in the locker room. Ron Rivera made shirts, people. Everyone is excited to have Thomas Davis back. And I think that's a huge deal, man. Especially if we've been having troubles running the football. I think Thomas Davis coming back, Greg Olsen on offense. Our offense just seems to be trending upward. I do believe so.
Do you believe that Greg Olsen could come back this week?
I do. I do think he'll be back, but I'm nervous because he has now been on record saying that he believes he will have surgery after the season is over. So he anticipates playing all season, hopefully going all the way to the Super Bowl on that foot and then having the same surgery that he had last year. So I don't know what to expect out of number 89 coming back. But listen, man, even having the threat of him on the field, I think, does a ton for our offense, especially on those huge third down plays. If we have the right personnel on the field, yeah, man, I think that is absolutely massive for us to have those two players back right now.
So I'm putting the video up, and I don't know what this is. There's another video playing in the background. Colin Jones.
Good morning.
Putting the video up right now of Thomas Davis coming back into the facility. And I don't know if you can hear the sound. Who cares? If you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher or TuneIn Radio, you see Thomas Davis lugging in these two giant bags. Like he's like moving back in. He's moving back into his home. He's walking up to the facility, and he's invited. I don't know. Was that Captain Munnerlyn? Was that Mike Adams?
I want to say it was Mike Adams, but man, Luke Kuechly has a genuine love for Thomas Davis. Those two are genuinely best friends, man. And yeah, they're happy.
So to me, what is amazing about this is, like you're saying, is we're talking about the best, arguably the best linebacker in the league in Luke Kuechly, right? I mean, is that it's hard to say this, is that we could say that we could pick nits and say this guy, or whatever, maybe. But I really think that first is that I'm never going to say somebody's better than him at this moment. Maybe I'm biased, but I think he's the best linebacker in the league. The fact that he is so appreciative of what Thomas Davis means to this organization, but to himself as a player and to this defense, I think that's awesomeness, dude. I mean, that's insane. At any moment, if you're the best of anything and you're that happy about having a mentor, that's wisdom. Luke Kuechly isn't just the best, he's wise. And maybe he sees the wisdom in Thomas Davis, Cody.
He does, and I do mean that when I say it. The more that I think about it, I really do believe that Thomas Davis probably is, more than likely is, the heart and soul of this defense, man. I mean, I was even listening to players say that, that his absence was noticeable to them. That there is a difference in our locker room when Thomas Davis is and isn't there. And you might say that that's a problem because he's an older player and we don't know how much longer he's going to be on the team. And what does that mean for Shaq Thompson? And is Shaq Thompson even ready to fill out that role? But, I mean, right now, it just seems like Thomas Davis could be the missing piece on this defense right now. I think Thomas Davis, he does everything so well. And I've said before, as Thomas has gotten older, he's played his best football. He's playing better now or in these past 2 to 3 years than he ever has in his entire career. And that's important. And I think having him back, I mean, it is huge for us right now.
I agree with that 100%. Is that Thomas Davis of 2015, and maybe is that Thomas Davis since 2013 has been better than Thomas Davis between 2007 and 2011, or whatever the years, whatever those years. That first half of his career, obviously there's the injuries. Sure, we'll grant you that. But I'm saying take this out. I'm talking about those healthy moments between those injuries. Is that he played at a better level in recent memory than you would have ever given him credit for in the past. It's a remarkable thing to see somebody get better like that. It's like a wine. He's like a good wine. He's aging nicely. Now, I don't know what that's going to mean here when he comes back, but let's talk about the character and fortitude of this team, Cody. Is that really you're talking about Thomas Davis being a constant, a steady, something something that you can build a foundation upon, which is interesting to me because I feel like Luke Kuechly should be that by now. And I'm not saying he's not, but really, I don't feel like there's been a standout star on the defense saying this is my defense. I haven't looked on the field and gone, you know what, Luke Kuechly, this is his defense. And surprisingly, I felt like I've said that in years past. I haven't and I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm not watching the games the same. Maybe he has a different leadership. I'm not saying he's playing bad. I just don't.
No, not at all.
I just don't feel like I'm like Luke Kuechly's been changing every one of these games recently.
No, listen, I completely understand what you're saying. I think that on our team, that I believe Luke, I believe Julius Peppers, and I would even say K'Wan Short are overall better football players than Thomas Davis. But I don't even know if that matters as much when you have a guy that rallies the troops so well that they hear a guy like Thomas Davis and they want to play their best football for him. Now, maybe to the outside person listening in, it might sound kind of cornball, but when you're on a team, that means something. Being able to have a guy that can increase the morale and make everybody want to go out there and fly around and just beat people up, I mean, that's a huge deal. And I think having him back right now, playing his best football, and remember this, a chip on his shoulder, because Thomas Davis doesn't feel that he was, that he's a cheater. He doesn't believe that he took a banned substance, Who knows ultimately what happened? But Thomas Davis has something to prove. He's saying he wants to play another year, and if he wants that, he has to prove that on the football field no matter what his veteran status is. So, yeah, man, especially if you look at how we've had a problem being able to contain the run. Washington doesn't have that bell cow running back that Darius Geis was supposed to be before he went down for the season. They're without that player now. They have Adrian Peterson, but when you want to defend the run, it's never bad to have Thomas Davis on your side, ever.
All right, so the Panthers squeak away, right?
Yes.
Is that there is this, a lot of people have argued that the Panthers did not deserve to win this game. Cody, let me open that to you. How do you feel about this idea that the Panthers got a win that they stole, that they didn't deserve, that they were unworthy of you? Respond to that point.
I'm reminded of Dominic Toretto in The Fast and the Furious played by the legendary actor Vin Diesel, saying it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. All that matters is that you win, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, people.
I'm paraphrasing, baby.
Yeah, listen, we won the football game, and that's all that matters. I will say that in our post-game show, I did say those words. I said it didn't feel like we deserved to win that. I feel like we let them back in the football game, and our play calling also helped to let them win. And I think that that's something that we have to fix moving forward. But, I mean, listen, a win is a win. But if we continue to play like we did against New York, at home no less, we have a murderer's row coming up. We have to play the Steelers. Okay, we have to play Philadelphia in Philadelphia. I mean, this schedule hasn't even turned up yet. And that kind of performance that we had, that will not cut it. It will not cut it. And I think Panther fans were upset with a lot of different things. I'm sure we'll cover a few of them. But, yeah, that was not the Panthers' best foot forward on Sunday at all.
Certainly not. I mean, is this a legendary performance? You know, every performance is full of crappiness, though, in some way, and greatness in other ways. What games do you truly remember in your life are not the games that went picture perfect? If we would have beat them 48-7, right? You would have never remembered this game. So the good news is this is a memorable game. It's a good game. If you were not a Panthers fan hoping for everything to be picturesque and Super Bowl or bust, and you just attended this game, this would have been worth your money. So that's the good news, is that, like, hey, is that this was a good product on Sunday, despite people saying it's the worst coaching hack job ever in the world and all these different things. So there's that memorable part right there. I think back in 2003 when we went to the Super Bowl and we beat early. This was in September. We beat the Bucs and we didn't score a touchdown. We blocked 3 field goals and an extra point, and we kicked like 4 field goals in that game. It was like, if you think back, that game was horrifically ugly, but awesome in so many other ways. This game right here is not as bad as we feel. We believe that the New York Giants are stinkers and the worst things ever, and we should just dominate them. Sure, I want us to beat Alabama on every game, playing whatever, Winthrop or whatever, whatever, you know, we want to just pummel these guys. I'm sure we all want that. But then at the end of the day, they have Odell Beckham Jr., who's arguably the best receiver in the NFL. They have they're a pro team. While they haven't been able to put together everything, I know it's cliche, a win is a win, but we will not remember that this was a stolen win in 10 weeks. So I would rather be like this. How about this? Is y'all be the honest, upright person who tells the girl how much you really like her and tells her the honest story. I'll be the asshole that plays it cool and tells a little bit, fluffs up my resume a little bit, and I'm the one that gets the date. You're the honest sucker at home by yourself.
You tell her you're looking to marry, and I'll tell her, baby, I'm looking for one night of fun. Let's roll.
Hey, you know what I'm saying.
Listen, there are, I believe, 5 or 6 teams in the NFL right now with a winning record, and the Carolina Panthers are one of those teams. And listen, you have to be happy about that. We had a bye. We got healthy. Everyone saw what Curtis Samuel was capable of. He had his first NFL touchdown. And by the way, he had to fight to keep that ball. Cam was getting ready to put that sucker in some little boy's hands, some little boy or girl's hands. Curtis Samuel took that ball back, his first touchdown. you're starting to see that this offense, you haven't seen what it's capable of. There is more to this team than you have seen. And I feel that we've been saying that, and while we haven't seen it yet, I feel like we all have faith that this team is still even better than what we've put out on the field. And I don't think that anyone is wrong or naive for thinking that way. I think that's a genuine, that's genuine for us. That there's a lot of talent on this football team, and we haven't even started to gel yet. So at the end of the day, our record is what it is. We're in second right now, but that's only because of the bye. And let's move on, baby. It's time to go beat up the Washington Redskins like we normally do, and say hello to our old buddy Josh Norman.
We cannot move on. We've got to continue to flog this horse. I think what we should do is this. All right. The last thing we do is this. On this game, let's talk momentarily about the defense, and then we'll go to the catcalls. All right.
Let's do it.
So on the defensive side, to me, and then we'll push the Cam discussion on the interceptions, because I have a feeling somebody's got to mention these on the catcalls. If they don't, we'll bring it back up. But to me, Cody, this game, a lot of it was made about here of how terrible the coaching was. I've heard a lot about this, and now I'm looking back at it. I feel like this game was the Panthers put themselves in a position to win. They were really in control of that game in so many ways until they let big players make big plays. There's a Saquon Barkley spin move run that you should have swallowed up, that it turns into a big deal that leads to points. You got Odell Beckham Jr. pulling in a deep touchdown. You had the Russell Shepard play. I felt like this overall, we were pretty good, but we weren't complete efforts, and I felt like that showed the most on the defense. They stopped the run a lot, but they gave up big plays. So, Cody, the defensive line did not get to the quarterback much. Where do you feel that this Panthers defense is trending?
So, our good longtime friend Shaked Bartal says that the defense through week 5 is a D-, and he's not very far off. And
right.
That last touchdown that Eli threw to Odell Beckham, and that was Odell's first touchdown of the season. Our safety and Dante Jackson, they bit too early, and they stayed down, and they let Odell right by him, and it was a broken play, and you cannot have that, especially late in the season, which I'm hoping that we'll be able to clean that up, as we get later into playing Atlanta and playing New Orleans at the end of the year, because they're going to burn us. They're going to throw the ball, and they're going to want to take advantage of a young Dante Jackson and Rashawn Golden, however long he's on the field. But we
fared pretty well in the first matchup against the Falcons. The question is, how do you deal with a team like the Saints that has so many?
It's a good question. It's certainly a good question. They just drafted a guy named Traquan Smith out of UCF, and he was the guy that caught the touchdown pass from Drew Brees that made him the passing leader in the NFL. Michael Thomas is insane. Alvin Kamara is their version of Christian McCaffrey, That offense is potent, and so is the Falcons, and so is Pittsburgh. If you see the point I'm trying to make, and what I said earlier, this schedule is going to be a murderer's row later on down the season. The Ravens are good. Our defense, and I feel like this is what's on everyone's mind, we have to sack the quarterback. And that's something that really our defense is known for, and yet we just haven't been doing it. And it's been a problem. And I think when our front 4 and front 7 isn't getting home, it hurts all of our backfield defenders. The corners, the safeties, they have to do more when we're not constantly applying pressure. And that's a problem. And I am hopeful that our coaches know that. Eric Washington said that he knows it's a problem, and Ron Rivera said that as well. And for all the flack that we put on Ron, He's a defensive coach. So it's time for our coaches to turn it on and our defense to turn it on and get angry, man.
All right, let's see where these calls take us. I've got so much I want to talk about, but there is a record number of calls to get through tonight.
Love it.
I'd like to thank everybody for their support in the chat room. This is your show. We're with you. We are just one of you hanging out and talking Carolina Panthers football. I thank you, every one of you, for being a participant in that chat room. We thank you for listening to the show. We ask you to just share the link. Just share the podcast with a friend. Smash the thumbs up button. And you can be a larger part of the show by having your voice heard on the Cat Calls line. This is a all day, basically. It's just a message. It's a voicemail where you can leave a message and have your voice heard on the C3 Panthers podcast. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We ask, just here, this is what I want you to do. Plug that number in, save it in your contacts, and after the game, in the middle of the night, when you're drinking beers, or when you're walking out of that stadium, or you're driving to work, just give us a call and let us know what's on your mind about the Carolina Panthers. Here's a bunch of calls and a bunch of fans that did just that.
Yo. Alright, so first time, long time. My name is Barney. I live up in Brooklyn. I'm a Panthers fan at a market. Alright, so I grew up in Charlotte. Now I'm in Brooklyn, and watching this Giants game up here in enemy territory was like a real thing, y'all. I mean, it was deep. I mean, all I got to say today is shout out to special teams, because I don't think we win it without that bootleg. Fuck, Graham Gano with the 63-yard boot. I mean, he's got a cannon for a leg, you know, and also Colin Jones is the new Brenton Burson with that, you know, special teams ace play to get that touchdown. Like, I don't think we win without that, you know. I mean, this game was way closer than it should have been, and it was hard to watch in a bar full of Giants fans. So, anyway, shout out to all the boys at the C3 podcast, because y'all been doing a great job. I've been listening for years, and it's great as an out-of-market fan for y'all to be keeping it up. So keep pounding, and yeah, talk to y'all next week.
Imagine that. Imagine watching that game in a bar full of Giants fans in New York, and having to deal with not only them whining and bitching and moaning about how terrible of a team they are, about all this, but how trash the Panthers probably are anyway, and then they get their tails whooped, the whole range of emotions, and they come back. Imagine being in that bar with 1 minute and 8 seconds left. That's some real fandom right there, Cody.
Is it? And listen, imagine you're the only guy in the bar hollering his ass off while everyone is depressed, crying in their beer because their team just got beat on a 53-yard field goal. Salute to that man. I didn't catch your name. I think it was Tony. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. We're happy that you're calling in, man. Salute to you in enemy territory, repping Panther Nation, pounding all the way, baby. We love it.
I would tell you one thing, is that might have been the hardest 1 minute and 7 seconds of your life, from the moment that they took the lead to the moment that Graham Gano kicked that. But I'm going to tell you, I would have made that the longest 30 minutes of those fans' life, as I acted a God-forsaken fool up in that mud. Oh my God! How
yeah.
beautiful would that be, man?
I'd have been dabbing. I might have gotten my ass whooped. I'm gonna be real.
That's the case. That's the truth. We been dabbing. We would have been dancing. Great call. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Hey, everybody. Y'all know who this is. This is G. Cavassier. I know it's been a while. Usually I call in every week, but, last week I had to give it a little break. Hey, let's talk about this game. Hey, we beat the Giants. Hey, I'm happy for the W, but the way we play conservative, and I put this on Twitter, I didn't like that. Thank God for Graham Gano. Thank God for Graham Gano. That field goal kick was something else. I stood up out of my seat when I saw that.
I'm still standing up, brother.
Bless him. The little problem I have, and I want you guys' opinions on this, is we play a pretty decent game, but we have a lack of pass rush this season. I really do. We used to have a pass rush like crazy last year, and the year before that, but this year, it just seems like the pass rush is like non-existent, and I don't know if Father Time is catching up with Julius Peppers. I don't know. I mean, I want to see more from Poe. I want to see more from KK. I want to see more from, everybody. Mario, I want to see from everybody. And I just really am not seeing that. Every now and then it might get back there, but, with the talent we have in our front four, we should be able to, sack somebody, at least get like
I know. I thought we were going to get 50 this year. We are not close to that.
With Eric Reed back there, I mean, he played decent, but I could tell he was kind of rusty. But I know the rust will come off, I'm just happy
I agree
that TD is back. Come this Sunday, I really, really do believe that TD can change this defense because, let's be honest, Mayo was horrible. He is.
I agree.
We had to put somebody in Thomas Davis' spot, but Mayo is not the answer. You put Thomas Davis back there.
That's the damn truth right there.
We're going to be a different team. That's my opinion, and I really do see us beating Redskins. So, you guys, give me your opinion on the lack of pass rush, and do you think that Thomas Davis being back will improve our defense? Remember, always keep pounding.
All right, so G. Cavassier, you know what, G, is we could just give you the mic, and you could do this show better than anybody.
That's the homie, man.
Yeah.
G. Cavassier, that's the homie.
I mean, it's got the right meter. It's got the right a measure of excitement, but also the balance of realism. All right, so let's break this down. First, we've talked about Thomas Davis. We know this, but to his point, I agree. Is David Mayo is a bust, and I hate to say that. I don't mean a bust, but he definitely is less good than that guy that went to the Saints. Who was that guy?
AJ Klein.
Yeah. So we basically were trying to replicate what Klein was, which was a really good, a decent backup that could start a couple of games. Yeah. Mayo is not that.
No. I mean, in my opinion, I think they're about equal. You might say that AJ Klein was better. But the point is, you don't really want either of them to be your starter. I think the Saints were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel for AJ. But, yeah, listen, Thomas Davis means a ton to us coming back. But listen, I think G. Cavassier might have hit the nail on the head that maybe we're not talking about enough, Tony. Maybe we're not talking about it enough. Maybe our defensive line is just a few years too old. Because as he was saying
Joey said that 2 months ago. Maybe it was he just said we look old.
And you know what? Another thing, when I was listening to G talk about it, I went to Spotrat.com, and we only have another year of Mario Addison. And then we have to re-sign him, and he'll be 32 years old in 2020.
Good. That's good. All right, so here, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to tell you this. This defensive line is fine. Here's why. Number one is that if not being fine means that we don't have a Khalil Mack, then of course we're not fine. We don't have a guy that is going to one-on-one beat any player in the league at any moment. Sorry, that used to be Julius Peppers, right? But here's the thing. Julius Peppers is coming off what may be his first surgery in his whole career. That's crazy to hear this. Is that I'll need some people to fact check that, but I believe I'm right on this. Is Julius Pepper has never had surgery before. He had shoulder surgery this offseason. We saw what happened with Cam. Cam came back last year, and he's a quarterback. I understand that. But he was pretty good. He was okay. He was serviceable in weeks 1 through 3 last year. And he started to come on. I think Julius Peppers could get better. Like, back to form. I believe there's got to believe, I have to believe that shoulder still is rehabbing and getting better. So if he gets stronger, that's a good thing for this defense. Number 2 is that I was with you guys. I was like, what the hell? I thought Poe was going to be the most dominant force in the world when added to this defensive line. So I went back, Cody, and I watched this game very carefully. My wife was upset with me because we're trying to spend time together, watch TV. You know, you just watch shows together, and that's kind of like spending family time together. But I'm also got the damn laptop open, taking notes about each play that Poe's on. And Poe is not playing as many snaps as you would think. The Carolina Panthers are only putting Dontari Poe in the formation when it's really clear running downs and could be a running down and maybe a passing down. Anytime that they think that offense is passing, Dontari Poe is not out there. Now, I don't know what that says about him, but I don't feel like at the same time I was of the same position, which is where the hell is Poe? But you know what, I'll tell you, he's not on the field. That's where he's not.
Yeah, it would be really unfortunate if we're going to have 2 underachieving defensive tackles on our team with Vernon Butler and Dontari Poe. Like, man, we need the guys to make a play. And also, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think our second team defensive line is almost on the field just as much, if not more, than our first team defensive line.
I think you're right. Is that we heard Eric Washington talk about trying to get the rotation right. But I feel like the snaps are pretty even among these guys. I'll look at the game.
I don't see other teams doing that. I don't see the Rams doing that. I don't see the Eagles doing that. Fletcher Cox plays a lot of plays. Now, everyone rotates. This is just the nature of football.
Sure. We're not saying don't rotate.
You have to be able to do it. But when you have Wes Horton, Kyle Love, by the way, Kyle Love is someone that we never talk about, and we should. Kyle Love has been making some noise at least one play every game. You know, but that's what you want out of a player like Kyle Love. But, yeah, it just seems like we have people.
Yeah, it's surprising that you're the guys, the big names, you just don't see them out there as much as you expected.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But I kind of think G hit the nail on the head. Again, man, I am optimistic. I do not think that we have seen the best out of the Panthers football team. I do think that this is going to start to turn on. They're going to figure this out, and they're going to start to get after the quarterback. I believe that, or else I would not say it, and I wouldn't lie to each and every one of you. But I do think that G is right, that at some point there has to be a concerted effort to infuse some young, high-end talent on this defensive line. And it's too early to talk about the draft, really, but this would be the draft to do it if we're wanting to do it. So, I don't know, man. Let's cross our fingers.
Just to put a little some numbers to that discussion.
Yeah.
Poe played 46% of snaps, and Kyle Love played 45%. So those guys are switching on and off based on scenario a lot. But I went back. I just felt like this, is that Poe didn't make a dominating play, but he also didn't make any bad plays. So I just feel like I would caution Panther fans for being too critical of Dontari Poe because he's really not getting enough. If you're only playing first and second down, you're not getting a ton of volume to make a great play. So it's less opportunity, and if they're running those downs, you can only do so much. But Kyle Love at 45% of the snaps. But look at this, surprising here. Obata and Wes Horton both at 34%. But Vernon Butler at a mere 25% of the snaps.
And see, what does that tell you? But
I think that's got to be going down. I feel like we saw him a lot in week 1 and 2. It's going down. That's not good. To me, this, you know what this screams? Coney Ely.
Yeah, this is a guy that had a lot of talent, a lot of upside. You were hoping that he would turn into something, and up until now, he hasn't proven that he's that. Now, I believe he has another year to prove otherwise. But I mean, listen, and so let me first say this: Dontari Poe is not a pass rusher,
right?
And I've said that before. He's not meant to sack the quarterback. He's meant to stop the run, and he's meant to give his defensive ends and K1 Short a one-on-one matchup. That's his job.
Those guys got to be doing better.
Right, he has to be doing better. And when the teams are running the ball, you have to be able to be dependable. You are the number one guy that stops the run on our defensive line. And if you're not doing that, if you're not doing what you're brought in to do, I don't know. That's very frustrating. But on Vernon Butler, I feel that number that you just said, Tony, 29%, that's our coaches.
25, even worse.
Yeah. That's our coaches telling you what they think about Vernon Butler.
I agree.
That's what I believe.
I think this is let's let things. My final thoughts to you, G, is let's give it a little time. I know that people. I mean, I want a 60 sack defense more than anybody. Like, of course. But I think I think that we're 3-1 right now. Our defense can get better. That's it. I think they could get more productive. They've done what they need to do at this point. I expect. I think Addison. I think he's got a year or two in him left. And I think, like you said, when Eric Reed knocks that rust off a little bit, it's going to really round out the back end of that defense. You inject Thomas Davis to that discussion, and boom, you're talking about in weeks 9, 10, and 11, maybe the most dominant defense. But that's me being super optimistic. Thanks for the call, G. You're the best.
Okay, I know I fit a lot into that last call. This is J-Dub again.
Let me see overall, if I hear.
What up, C3, Panther Nation? It's your boy Jaden.
J-Dub? What's up, Jay?
Oh. I decided not to do a heat of the moment cat call after the game because it probably would have been 7 calls long and just craziness.
We're at 2.
Now that I've had data, let everything settle.
14.
Say a few things. Why do Ron Rivera's teams always come off the block slow off the bye? I just don't get it. It doesn't make no sense to me.
Agreed.
Before the season, I wanted to see this team without Thomas Davis on defense, and now I just can't wait for him to be back. I didn't realize how much of a safety blanket he was for Luke. Luke has just been off. He went from 8 tackles to 3 tackles to 2 tackles the last 3 games.
I'm with you, man.
Ugly ones, like the last 3 games. That's not Luke-like. The Washington, he needs to. He's been like uber opposite of Wilkes, but I want to see McDermott. Like, Wilkes blitz too much. You don't blitz at all because you're a D-line coach. We're not getting home. We need to, and we have a better coverage this year. You need to start blitzing some because this ain't working. Big ups, Chase Blackburn, the new special teams coordinator. Like, our special teams have looked great all year, I think. If that muff punt thing, I know wasn't all of them, but they were still there to cover. Good coverage. You know, Colin Jones has always been a special teams ace. I'm pretty sure he went into Rivera's ear and was like, hey, Gano can hit a 63 or possibly. Like, he can actually do it. You don't have to Hail Mary it. So, big ups to him. Norv Turner, did you let Shula into your headset and have him call your plays? Because he looked a lot like Shula in that play call in that game, man. Doing screens on 3rd and short. Like, I truly don't understand what you're thinking, my friend. And the lack of use of Alex Arma really hurt me, especially with Olsen being out and Thomas not being quite there. Thomas, you got to finish your routes, bud. You made Cam look bad.
Say
Khalil
it.
somehow hurt again. Looks like that same thing almost as last time. I trust in Larson enough, so, I mean, if you can play, whatever. If you can't, whatever. Khalil's coming back soon. I don't want to see him come back in, but we're
Amen
love to see
to
what happens
that.
there.
Stay away.
Eric Reed, people might be down on how he played, but I think he was a direct correlation to how Mike Adams played. So I think it was great. It let Mike Adams play free and not have to worry about everything as the lone safety. So I think he still did his job. This team can do great. I want to see better, though. This game should never have been that close. It should have never been left up to ref calls and a 63-yard field goal and a muffed punt, and there's just no reason for it to ever get there. We need to put our pedal to the floor. We need to see a little bit more first down passing, second down pass. I don't get exactly what Turner's doing. It's like he's saving all of his cards, but you're going to crap out before, or you're going to lose all your money before you ever get to the final table, bud. Like I don't like some of the play calling. In
Chill
that game.
out, J
Didn't
Dub.
make
We're
much sense to me.
3-1.
I know.
Okay, we're gonna have to do it.
All right, we scored. By the way, we scored 33 points in this game.
Okay.
So, all right, here, let's get the back end. So there's so much to unpack, but I think J Dub had a part 2 to his call.
Right.
So let's go ahead and play it.
Okay, I know I fit a lot into that last call. Did up again.
Let us have it, Jay.
You know, we got
Tell
the
us.
win. That's all that really matters.
You're on the couch.
Going forward, we have the pieces to do what we need to do as long as we use them right and put them in position to play. I want to see more rotation on the DN, maybe even throwing a Haynes or a Bottom more. I don't know. The pressure has got to be there for this defense to work. On offense, just do what you can do. I mean, McCaffrey didn't have a first-half catch, and that makes absolutely no sense. He's not only a decoy, the boy can play. DJ Moore's got to get more involved. Just got to. And Curtis Samuel, man, he looked fucking like we waited the whole time for him to be. He looked like
We
what
saw him
we thought
on
we
2
drafted.
plays.
You get all these guys, him, McCaffrey, and Moore the ball. They're all running backs who can catch. Give them the ball and let them wreck people. Quit playing around. Who cares if everyone knows and they can game scheme for it? Let them game scheme for it. You put all 3 of those guys in together where you can dig and dunk and let them run. Are you kidding me? The possibilities are endless. I love all you guys. Keep pounding.
All right, a couple of things that brought up first. JW the best, bro. Love you.
The voice of reason of our cat calls, J-Dub has become. He's like, listen, everybody, I'm just going to talk to you real smooth, real quiet, and I'm about to tell you what's really going on. See, that's why we love a J-Dub call.
J-Dub always calls at like 3:30 in the morning, and he's like about to wake his neighbors up. So he's in the cut saying these things, and he's passionate too. So it's measured.
That's his hour of zen.
Yeah. So here we go. Is Eric Reed, surprisingly, I watched the game twice very closely, and I would say I tried to look out for him. He played 86% of the freaking snaps. 48 defensive snaps. Holy moly. When you listen to this, wait till you hear this. Dante Jackson, Shaq Thompson, James Bradbury, Luke Kuechly, Mike Adams, they played every defensive snap. Now, I can understand that with Luke. I can maybe even understand that with James Bradbury. But I think that says a ton about the amount of the load that we put on, particularly Deshaun Jackson, and you throw in Mike Adams, who is 40 years old, and Eric Reed. I don't know if that is sustainable in many ways, but kudos. See, some of these things I think factor in that we don't recognize. We go, oh, we're playing soft, we're doing these things. I don't know. Maybe our guys are gassed. You know what I mean? You don't know. I mean, some of it is the arc of the game, too, is that we could say you should have passed here and there. But that's crazy, isn't it? That Dante Jackson, a rookie, played 100% of the snaps.
Well, I think it's a testament to, one, how talented he really is. And again, I'm genuinely trying to stop tooting my own horn, okay? But I've been on Dante. I've been on Dante before he was a Panther, Okay, I know Dante is talented, and our coaches know that he's talented. He's a rookie player. He's going to make mistakes. He made a mistake against his fellow LSU alumni, Odell Beckham. It's going to happen, especially when you're playing someone that's been in the NFL for that long at that high of a level. But you talked about maybe we're gassed out. And listen, I might make some enemies in the chat, and this is something that we've been discussing back and forth. I disagree with you, Tony Dunn, and I disagree with our friend Brandon Herbert. And I agree with J-Dub. You want to know why they were able to stop us and why I feel our offense might have been gassed out or our defense might have been gassed out? They knew what we were going to do on offense before we did it. I don't think that Norv Turner called a good offensive game. I really don't. And I think that if he had, Graham Gano wouldn't have had to save us. Now, you might say, well, hang on. That's our defense. Our defense has to stop their offense from putting up points. Right. But on 3rd and 1, and you need to move the ball to make the game easier on your field goal kicker, you run Christian McCaffrey right up the middle. See, that's what baffles me. And everyone wants to say that Norv Turner is better than Shula, and I think that he is. I don't think anyone's saying that he
it's
isn't.
night and day, bro.
Night and day, but we have to be honest about everyone. If me and Tony have to be honest about Cam Newton, we also have to be honest about Norv Turner. And the play calling, especially at the end, it was not a good game, man. They knew what we were going to do before we did it. And you can even make the argument that we didn't make the first down. A lot of the Giants fans said that McCaffrey was short, but the referees said we had a first down. So, listen, man.
We had a first down on the previous play. That's what I would say. Is that I felt like they didn't give us a good spot. So maybe they were making up for this.
And that play that you just showed, yeah, credit where credit
I'm trying to play it again, but
that was a good call on North, but that was also on Cam Newton being able to throw it to Jarius Wright on the 2nd level. And that's what I'm talking about. No one is perfect right now. And it's, listen, two things can be opposite and still be true, right? So we know that Norv Turner is better than Mike Shula. But it's also possible for Norv Turner to call, maybe even if it's not a bad game, a bad quarter of football. I think Norv Turner in the 3rd and 4th did not do our team very many favors.
All right, so I think is that I think it was more the 2nd and the 3rd. Right? Is that here's the thing, is that like I can understand when you step up to the line and you see 10 guys in the box, basically, like the whole defense, and it's like you're like, hey, we should have done something different. I get that. But ultimately, I do think this is that the game was not as conservative as we make it out to be. Is that I believe this is, let me see if I can just pull up the stats, is that Cam Newton passed the ball, I want to say upwards of 30. He attempted, this is final individual stats, rushing. McCaffrey had 17 attempts. Newton had 8. Passing, Cam Newton had 35 attempts. We had 35 attempts and 31 running attempts. So we were pretty balanced there. I think this is that, yeah, you look at that one, but I think that, hey, what about that one where we went Cam Newton under center and the cornerback sneak and we don't get it? What was that, 4th down or 3rd down? Do you remember where Cam Newton sneaks it and we didn't get anything?
Yeah, and that's rare too. I think that was a 3rd down play.
So for me though, is that you look at that formation and you say the numbers are against us, but you think I can get this. So for me, I understand like, hey, I wish we would have called a different play because this one didn't work. But the Carolina Panthers did put up significantly, so some pretty strong numbers, and I think that they failed on a couple of plays that they could have made that would have all of a sudden made this not look as such a terrible game plan. I think there was some real creativity early from Norv Turner, and I honestly believe this is it's easy to say that we should be more aggressive when it shakes out like this, but I have been a fan of teams who cannot stop an offense and who can't run the ball, and those games get long, bro. They get long. You're like this. It's like 4 hours, and your offense better be great for 3 hours and 30 minutes of them.
But, okay, so I know we have more calls, and we'll have to move on eventually, but I want to say this. And, Tony, I don't even know if you can do this right now. It might be too impromptu. I dropped in our notes a video, the one I showed you earlier, of the play that Cam Newton didn't make. And I want to talk to Brandon Herbert.
Because
what I'm saying is we have
missed right?
Yeah, Cam missed his right. And I don't know if you'll be able to pull it up. Yeah, okay. If you can, awesome. But there's a play, and hopefully you're all getting to see it. And I'm talking to my man Brandon in the chat right here. What I'm saying is that we all have to be honest. If Cam Newton misses a throw, then we have to be honest and say that it was Cam Newton. If there was a better read that Cam could have made, we have to be honest and say that it was Cam Newton. And I'm hoping that you'll see here. I'll show you a play.
I'm coming. Slow down. You keep talking.
Okay. No, it's fine. Take your time. I'm just saying that there are times when the play calling is not up to par, and then there's times where Norv Turner has to be better. And granted, there's a small sample size. There's only been 4 games that the Panthers have played right now, and that's fine. But what I'm saying is when the play calling is bad, it's bad. And when Cam Newton needs to be better, it needs to be better.
It's playing right now, the video.
Okay, right. So Jarius Wright is over the top. And, I mean, that's a touchdown. And Cam Newton is even looking at him. And, Brandon, I want you to see this, man, because I'm calling out Cam Newton. There are 2 missed plays on this pass. He had Ian Wright in the flat, and he had Jarius Wright over the top. Either one of those would have been incredible first downs, and Cam Newton has made those throws a million times. That's not on Norv Turner. That's on Cam Newton. He has to be better on that play. What I'm saying is there are times when the defense knows what we're going to do before we do it. And that is not on Cam Newton. That is on Norv Turner. And I think as Panther fans, we have to be honest and put our glasses on and be able to look with a deciphering eye on who it's on what individual play. That's all I'm saying.
I get you. At the same time, I think this is that you're moving the ball. There was a couple of situations in that second half where we're calling run plays with C.J. Anderson, with Christian McCaffrey, with Cam Newton. We're getting 3-4 yards at a time, 5 yards in some cases. All of a sudden, it's 3rd and 1. I feel like this is, I understand it didn't go our way, but when the clock's running, when you're up in a game, the key is to keep the clock. I know that that's not happy for everybody who plays Madden and wants to just pass and all this and that. But keeping that clock running is critical. And you just ran 9 yards on 1st and 2nd down. I understand they know what you're going to do, but you would think that hat on hat, let's get that one. So I'm not as upset. I think the let's play aggressive, all comes from the position of a team that could, I just think it's easier said than done. That's it. All right.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So let's keep going with these cat calls. There's so many. They're so good tonight. We had J-Dub with 2 calls. Here we go.
C3 Podcast. This is Ryan from San Diego.
What's up, Ryan?
And I'll try to keep this as short as possible.
Don't.
Graham Gano has ruined a lot of my days.
Hey, man.
One of them being on September 8th of 2016 when the Denver Broncos hosted the Carolina Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
A few hours before the game, my daughter was born. And I was holding her during the game. Everything was good. I was celebrating. We're up 17-7.
This is going to be the best call.
The game kind of go out of control. But unfortunately, I will always remember my daughter's birthday. Not because she was born. Because Graham Gano decided that he wanted to miss a field goal to lose the game in Denver.
That's some shit.
And I do have to say, I'm still a little irritated by that.
I agree.
But he scored him some brownie points yesterday with a 63-yard field goal. I'm happy to say I'm not as upset with him as I was on September 8th, the day that my daughter was born. But another thing I want to bring up is Devin Funchess. I think it's time for that guy to go, or at least be sprinkled in instead of being the main guy. And I am a little concerned about our defense.
Hey.
It is week 4, but I kind of feel, we've been giving up a lot of points and a lot of big chunk plays.
I agree with that.
Odell Beckham and Saquon Barkley, and they've faced a list of good receivers, but we're not really generating a whole lot of pass rush. We are getting a little bit of turnovers, but this defense just really hasn't been what I'm accustomed to, or Panther Nation's accustomed to.
Agreed.
And we got Pittsburgh coming up, we got Baltimore coming up, we got the Buccaneers. I'm not worried about the Buccaneers, but still, they're a high-flying offense to go with the Saints and other teams sprinkle in there.
That sounds
we're not
terrifying,
making any stops,
doesn't
we're not
it?
dominating people at the line of scrimmage, and it's getting a little bit frustrating. And I gotta give Norv Turner some credit as far as the offense goes. We got kind of a makeshift offensive line, and they're doing a good job keeping Cam Newton clean. But it's the ball looks like it's starting to roll with Devin Funchess getting his receptions. I don't know if they're trying to get him paid or not, but they really need to put him in the 3rd or 4th slot and just literally sprinkle him in at 2 or 3 catches a game. Because I think he was at his best his rookie year when he wasn't the focal point of the offense.
Yeah, agree.
Cam Newton did throw a couple picks, but I thought he played good enough with what the defense gave him. And I just kind of hope the defense really is turned around, because that's a concern for me going into these next few weeks. But keep up the good work, guys. Appreciate the show, and I'll tune in next week.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That is a great way to start this discussion, is that he has a moment where it's tied to his life and his family and all of this, and that's wonderful, because I've got 3 kids. I know there's flashbulb. That's what in psychology they call a flashbulb memory. Like, you remember your daughter, it's all seared in your brain. For me, I think back to that game, as I remember that, and I blame a lot. I think Graham Gano missed a kick in the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure he did. I'm going to go back and look that up. So I was still already feeling like, about that. He misses the kick. I believe in many ways that if we would have beaten Denver that year in 2016, our season would have gone significantly different. But it tailspins. The Vikings game, concussions knocked Michael Orr out. All of it just went awful from that moment on. I think in many ways, this is where brownie points, I think, is being conservative. As Graham Gano arguably saved our season. That field goal, Cody, could have been as crippling as the one as he missed. But not the miss, but the loss in this case. So to me, this right now, Graham Gano is back in my good graces. 100%. And I know that's a big ask to say a 63 field goal took it. But you're back, baby.
Listen, to those who have a significant other or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or what have you. You're gonna get into fights, okay? But if you're still holding me accountable for a boneheaded mistake I made 2 years ago, we're not in a good relationship. If we're gonna try and make this work, we're gonna try and make this work. I'm trying to do things to make up for it now. And I feel like that's how we have to feel with Graham Gano, you know? Graham Gano, he's made some kicks that have broken our heart. But, you know, just like you said, that, you know, missing that field goal in Denver kind of shifted our momentum that negatively affected us for the rest of that season. You know, Graham Gano might have made up for that with a 63-yard field goal. What more does a man have to do than kick the longest field goal in Panther history? You know what I mean?
Well, I tell you what, I tell you one thing you could do is to kick the shortest winning, game-winning, Super Bowl-winning kick ever. I don't care if it's the longest or the shortest. If it wins us the Super Bowl, that's the only thing. But you're right. What else could you do? That is it. Is no matter the angst and the animosity and the things I've talked. It's kind of like that's what it took. Is that he's washed clean for me. He's been washed clean. Now
he's been absolved.
Yes, let's go to Devin Funchess though. Another interesting take is that I don't know how to feel on this. Devin Funchess, 72%. He played 72% of the snaps. He played 51. I'm at 70. He played 51 offensive snaps. Good things and bad things. Good things to Devin Funchess. I have not been a Devin Funchess rah-rah guy. I mean, clearly I was a little tough on him. Here, this is the arc of my story with Devin Funchess, Cody, is I thought, hey, I don't want to dislike you or any reason, but we drafted you higher than we had to. That's not your fault. That's the Panthers' fault for trading up to get you when you would have been sitting there anyway. So in that case, I was always like he had a little bit of room to make up. Then the salad comments come. Then the injuries come and all of this. But I feel like I am more Devin Funchess positive today than I have ever been. I think Devin Funchess plays pretty hard. I think there is some concerns with the cramping issue that he goes out in this. He may be a little soft. Not soft. He's upset. Did you see him on Twitter?
I did. I saw his tweet. Panther players read Twitter too.
So for me is I didn't ever think that, Devin's soft until he started talking about it. The salad thing, yes, did give away some clues. For me, what I think is soft is him being upset by the noise a little bit. It's like you got to I think at this point, I have started to recognize that the internet sucks. And it's great. Yeah. Is that like it doesn't matter what you do. You can count 50 touchdowns and somebody's going to hate you. They're going to say something different. So for my advice to you, Devin Funchess, is you want to toughen up. Just don't get on Twitter. But what do you think about Devin Funchess? I think I've been happy with him. I think he's been an asset to the team. For me, I look more to Torrey Smith, who is still outpacing everybody when it comes to snaps. Torrey Smith, I think, was the second most at wide receiver at 65% of the snaps.
Wow. You know what? I'm gonna agree with and give a shout out to Jedi Jor in our chat, who says Funchess has been the most consistent receiver. And you know, as he says that, I think back on it during this game or against Atlanta or Cincinnati, every time it was a third down and we needed a play, it wasn't Torrey Smith that we threw the ball to. It wasn't our first round draft pick, DJ Moore. It wasn't even our boy Christian McCaffrey. It's been Devin Funchess. Devin Funchess has been making plays that keep the sticks moving. And I think that if we don't give him credit for that, then, you know, we're not doing our job talking about football.
There was a huge third down. What about that play that was challenged early in that game? where it took Ron Rivera challenging the play, and Devin Funchess made a big catch. It wasn't anything crazy. Like
Yeah, toe drag.
It was just move the chains, an important catch. He was a quarter of an inch of making another catch like that later in the game. I think this is that he's better than average. Better than average, and I would rather have him than not have him at this point.
Listen, absolutely. I mean, and you and I have both said before, none of us are even saying or have ever said that Devin Funchess is the number one wide receiver.
Yeah, no need to be.
No one has ever said that. I honestly, I don't. Even the most ardent Devin Funchess defender, I don't hear them say that. We have a lot of hope for DJ Moore and what he will end up being, and Curtis Samuel at that, both players who have very high ceilings. But I honestly believe that right now, the most reliable, dependable receiver that wears a Carolina Panthers uniform is number 17, Devin Funchess.
He's played a lot, 72% of snaps. I think we need to shift that same conversation to Torrey Smith, 65% of snaps. I don't want to just kick Torrey Smith off the team. I think that's a little bit too much. But Curtis Samuel coming back slowly, easing him in at 17% of the snaps on offense. Damiere Byrd played more than Curtis Samuel. You wouldn't have known it. DJ Moore creeping up there. He played 29 snaps, 41% of the offensive team production. To me, I just want to see Torrey's numbers come down into the 30s, and Devin Funchess maybe to come down a little bit just for some rest. I want to see more DJ Moore, more Curtis Samuel, more Damiere Byrd, more Jarius Wright. All those guys, I mean, I'm not talking much. We're talking about 2 plays more per one of those guys, and like 6 plays less for Torrey Smith.
I want to see Torrey Smith make a play that makes us say, thank God Torrey Smith is on this football team. Haven't seen that yet, but hopefully we do.
Jedidor says this: Torrey Smith must be an outstanding run blocker to get that many more snaps. All right, Cody, I'm going to play this call and refresh my drink. So if it ends before I'm back, you take over.
Hey, C3, it's your boy Lil Norm. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I love it. I'm here with my homie Little Marty. How you doing today, Little Marty? I'm doing great. Big win. You can thank me for that. Eric Reed signing. So you can thank me for that win. Well, I'm not so sure it was just him. Did you see Cam? Did you see Curtis Samuel? Oh, I love it. I love it. What are you guys talking about? Do you realize this game would have been a big fat L if it weren't for the D? Hey, it's Ewash in the house. What's up, Ewash? Hey, little people. You both trying to take credit for the win? Get to the spot, boys. It was a D. Did you see Pep on that run defense? Did you see Ashton Jackson? Come on now. I'm not so sure I'm with you on that, E. I put together a patchwork line without that expensive hunk of meat that Papa G brought in from Minnesota before I got here. I brought in an all-pro safety whose name you did not hear, which is a good thing. I think I'm deserving of most of the shine here. Who scored the points? Cam and company. Oh, I love it. You're all out of your minds. I mean, you're crazy. 36. Oh, boy. We're in for it now. Hot Chase has joined the party. The D was good, but you let New York score 31 points. 31? Come on. And the offense looked better this week, but you really only scored 21 points. My special teams did the heavy lifting this week. Oh, can't play Colin Jones gets a touchdown on punt coverage. And what about we'd rather have Buster Gano? He kicks the second longest field goal in NFL history. Are you kidding me? I say it was special teams that won this game. Okay. Can we just agree to share the credit? Oh, I love it. We rush, we share. First time we ever got any credit. Sounds good to me. Just nobody tell old Riverboat. You know he'll still be talking about missed opportunity.
What the hell did I just listen to?
Epicness.
I think
Epicness.
I think someone performed a Shakespearean play in the catcalls. Wow. I'm speechless, man. I don't even. That guy was on one. I appreciate it, but he was on one. I liked it though. I appreciate his effort.
I love being eccentric, and that's eccentric to the point of this. If you're look, he's right. Special teams won this. Colin Jones was right at home. I want to respond to this. A lot of people have said, "Oh, where are the Colin Jones haters at?" And they may as well at me and our boy, help me out, Pat Coltrane. Pat Coltrane and I have been anti-Colin Jones before it was cool being anti-Colin Jones. I've been anti-Colin Jones since 2014, so you guys get on back. Right. But everybody's like, where y'all at? They might as well at cat_chronicles. But at the same time, I said this. Colin Jones, right at home, baby. Right at home. On special teams. Graham Gano, I'm not going to lie. Special teams saved this game, Cody. You can't argue with that.
No, not at all. And, it's very rare that we're praising our special teams.
I know. Is that not crazy? Is usually at the very best, they are unnoticeable.
For a while, they've been the weakest link of our football team. We'll let people return punts and kicks for touchdowns. Or let them have 50 yards or get stood up at the 15-yard line returning a kick. So, yeah, credit where credit is due. When the special teams play good football, you call them out for it. And Colin Jones made a touchdown that if we didn't have, again, we might not have won that game. A lot of things went our way against the Giants, and a big special teams play was one of them by a guy who does not traditionally get a lot of love. So thank you to the caller. I did not get your name, but I appreciate the effort. And
While out says play that call again. I agree with you. We're not going to do it, but here, as I understand that people are saying drugs are bad and all of this, but that might be beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, folks. And sometimes being a little off kilter is the right way of looking at things.
Hey guys, I just wanted to give you an update on Kelvin Benjamin's stats for the year. He's at 8 receptions, 103 yards, and a touchdown. So that was kind of funny. I just wanted to share that with you guys. And also, I was thinking about when all these other organizations look for a head coach, they've been taking like Sean McDermott and Steve Wilkes. Do they not realize we have Luke Kuechly on the field? I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny because, I don't know, if you look at Steve Wilkes just struggling. And I think the Bills are better off than the Cardinals, but still, you got to give Luke Kuechly a lot of credit for their success. So, yeah, love the show. Keep pounding.
Thank you for that call. It goes back and beckons to another call in the past, Cody, is talking about how the coaches that have stemmed from the Ron Rivera tree have not had the greatest amount of success. Buffalo, I think Sean McDermott has what it takes. I do believe that. I think they made a bad pick probably with the quarterback they selected. I don't know. We'll see how that pans out. But Kelvin Benjamin, I go back in this. You guys want to know what the real truth on Kelvin Benjamin is? He was drafted in 2014. Go back and watch the first live C3 draft party. And we drafted Kelvin Benjamin after a 12-2 season. I drank beer. It was the first show we ever did like this. We had 12 people cycling in and out of this hangout. It was complex. It was awesome. We had a blast. And I drank 12 beers. And I wanted Bradley Roby so bad. I wrote an article on how I wanted Allen Robinson. And we drafted Kelvin Benjamin. And I flipped. I lost it. I was drunk, and I lost it. And I still remember a lot of cats giving me a lot of shit over that next season when Kelvin Benjamin was pretty good. But I'm going to tell you this. I told you it was fool's gold from the beginning. So you, Kelvin Benjamin, I am that petty, you fat ass, and I didn't pick on your weight when you were here in Carolina. But once you started talking junk about the greatest, most beautiful, wonderful person in the world, i.e. Cam Newton, you became dead to me. You pudgy mother.
Hey guys, this is Mel. I'm calling in. That was a crazy game. It was an ugly win, but you know what they say, ugly win is better than a pretty loss. So I'm happy about
Amen
that.
to that.
I want to shout out the Roaring Raptor, the Roaring Riot chapter out in Nashville. That's where I caught the game. They did a pretty good job making it feel like a home game, even though I was away from home. If I had one thing to worry about on this on the defense especially, I think it'd be the defensive line. We really didn't get a lot of pressure on Manning, except for that one sack that we managed to get. And it looks like that's going to be something that even Eric Washington said that they're going to have to work on. Other than that, I'm glad we won on to Washington. After seeing what the Saints did to them Monday, hopefully we can reincarnate that, I guess. But thanks, guys. You guys have a good one.
Let me ask you this. Great. Thank you for that call, Cody. I'm on that call based on that perspective. What are your thoughts on Eric Washington?
I mean, you know, Eric Washington, I mean, if we're just talking about our defense, I think we've all been pretty disappointed with our defense thus far. We've let a lot of plays happen that are uncharacteristic of the Carolina Panthers defense. It's hard for me to say that is on Eric Washington, you know. But we're wondering if our defensive line is getting a little too old. You know, we're wondering if our defensive backfield is a little too young. You know, there's a lot of questions. So right now, it really is hard for me to give Eric Washington an honest assessment as a defensive coach. And you know, not everything is instant. I mean, some people, you know, there's a coaching carousel every year. So guys that have one good season, they get called up to be a head coach, and that's a bump in pay, and it's a bump in notoriety, and there's no way you're not taking that pay raise. But at the same time, there are coaches that they had to grind out for a bunch of years as defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators to really hit their stride and find who they were in their coaching style. So, again, we're 3-1 right now. I think that Eric Washington has done the best with what he's been given. I think the jury's still out right now. It's too tough to say that Eric Washington is the defensive coordinator that we need. And it's also too early to say that it's time to kick him to the curb.
Did we really only allow 8 points against the Cowboys? Is that right?
We did.
That's a weird number. That's a weird number.
We came out blazing. We really did.
8. We gave up 8, 31, 21, 31. The team is sacrificing points. We've given up some plays in the red zone. But here, I'm going to tell you where I feel about Eric Washington. I like anybody who wears that perpetually angry face that well. And I'm going to tell you this, is that I think there's two things I love about Eric Washington. And I don't know what this is going to mean in the long run, folks. But I'm going to tell you this, is Eric Washington, one, he looks angry when this defense is not doing that great. And that means a lot to me. I love the angry face. Go look at my Twitter profile. It's the double picture of Ron Rivera and him looking at their children pissed as shit. That's what I look at. But here's what I love about Eric Washington. And I think this is going to translate into greatness later on in the season. I truly believe this. He calls people to the table about how they're not doing well, but he also knows that part of his job is to be a cheerleader. And he says things like this. He's like, no, we didn't perform well, but I believe we're going to be the best defense in the league. I believe, like, he has a confidence in his players, whether he or not he truly believes it. I like that. I think that's great for a leader. I know that's small. That's not X's and O's, what you guys want to hear, but I like his angry face. I think that this defense is going to be fine. I think that Eric Reed is going to help us. I think that that's going to round out a lot of things. I think the fact that Dante Jackson is playing this well as a rookie, and then you add Thomas Davis back, don't worry. A couple of weeks later, you're going to be talking about how Eric Reed is the man. Next call.
C3, what's up? What's up? This is Jay Roof calling back in. Hey, I listened to you guys last week. This is Thursday before the game against the Giants. I just listened to the most recent podcast. Really appreciated all the coverage. I had a couple different things I wanted to talk about. I think that'll be relevant next week as well as this week, but didn't have a chance to call in. But one thing I want to talk about is number one, everybody's shooting these pictures around with Greg Olsen kind of jogging and running and catching balls on the field. Please, God, don't give me PTSD from last season when he came back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't even remember, but it seemed like he was only back for a couple games and he hurt it again, you know. That foot has been a real problem for him, and I really think we're going to need him in the playoffs. So I would honestly try to keep him out as long as possible, not only to really benefit him, but to give the guy behind him, I think his name, what's his name, Ian Thomas, or whatever his name is, I can't remember, but
that's right.
Give him a chance to get some more reps in. Really hoping the receivers this weekend and through the rest of the season can get rid of these stone hands they got, man, because it's been tough watching some of these drop passes the past few weeks. But the biggest thing I want to talk about is, I know you guys mentioned last night, there's some older Panthers fans out there and there's some younger Panther fans out there. And I'm one of the older ones, not too old, but I've definitely followed the team since, 96 or so, 95 as a young man. But man, I remember watching Steve Smith. When he first joined the team, he wasn't given the option in the offense to be on the field as a receiver immediately either.
That's true.
I can remember his big break. I think it was like a touchdown return for a punt. Like he was in punt returns, and I'm really hoping that can be the case for DJ Moore or Demir Bird or one of these young guys coming in. I think they got to make a real statement on special teams and punt returns, and they got to really make a statement in some of these design plays, like these reverses they got for Moore and he's coming in for. That's how Steve Smith made a mark on this league, and that's how he got a spot in the starting lineup, because I think there were some serious doubts about his size. There were some serious doubts about his ability to make plays, and he went out there and he made it happen. So we can't keep making excuses for Bird and Moore. They gotta perform. They gotta perform when they have the chances. And, other than, Ron Rivera, stopping, the way he.
All right, so he got cut off a little bit. He may be the next call for all I know, but I think that there's a ton to unpack there that I need to talk about. One, I think he's absolutely right, and it makes me feel like this is that as the most important Demir Bird fan in the history of the world, other than Susan Tucker. Susan Tucker is the one who told me that Demir Bird was legit, and I believed and trusted her and followed her like a shaman or a guru. At the same time is that I think that the only thing that can help Demir Bird right now continue to be a presence on this team is to do what he's exactly saying. And he didn't do this in this past week. The team, though, is still expecting a lot from him, Cody, because A lot of people said Ron Rivera tried to throw some shade on him a little bit and say that they expected Curtis Samuel to do some return stuff, but Damiere Byrd was out there. So I think that the team recognizes his explosivity, if that's a word. I don't think it is. But at the same time, I think he's absolutely right. It takes that type of play to ingratiate himself. I actually don't see it happening right now.
Well, I don't know. And you and I have talked, on this show, we've talked a lot about DJ Moore and what is the deal? Why haven't we seen as much of him as we've wanted to? And, is it taking a long time to learn the playbook and run his routes correctly, or are the coaches holding him back? And Jay Roof, he made a great point, man. Not every player becomes the player that you know them to be in their first or even second season. Players turn it on at different times. And, DJ Moore, that's why I get so upset when you see people online saying, oh, we should have drafted Calvin Ridley over DJ Moore. Well, yeah, maybe that looks good now, but maybe DJ Moore becomes the biggest wide receiver since Antonio Brown by the year 2020, and he's one of the best players on the football team.
Well, Antonio Brown, too, was drafted late, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you would go back in time and slap your own self in the face for even saying something that preposterous. Listen, I think these things take time. We all want, an instant meal to be a 5-star rated meal, but that's not the way it works sometimes. And I think that's why our front office does bring in a Torrey Smith, and they do bring in a Jarius Wright, and they bring in these players that, while they may not be superstars in their own right, they're going to be serviceable and do the job and move the chains until our young superstars turn into the people that they're going to be for the rest of their career. And sometimes you have to have patience, even though football fans are not patient people.
Well, and to shout out to Philip Lewis in the YouTube chat saying, look, reminding that Smitty's 3rd round draft pick. So,
right.
When you compare him to DJ Moore, apples to apples, that might not be, you needed, Steve Smith was looked at as a return guy that could become, nobody knew he was going to be that great of a receiver at that time. Props to Marty Herney. I'm pretty sure that may have been a Marty Herney pick. But I would say this, is that there is, while we look at Steve Smith, 3rd rounder moving up to and this and that, and you can say, there's a difference between 2003, which you thought a 1st rounder should do, and 2018. Like, we really believe that 1st round picks today should come in and make a difference and an impact immediately.
Some of them do. Some of them do just that. And it's like, not every player is the same. Some players are awesome for a year or two.
But I think a long time ago, Cody, though, is that the idea was you could bring these guys along a little bit more. Now we're saying this is like, what have you done for me now?
Yeah.
And maybe that's not, but I do think this is that we need, look, special teams have been a positive right now. If we could get Damiere Byrd working on this team right now and moving us into good position on top of a 63-yard kick, the Colin Jones touchdown, if you can start getting good field position back there, maybe having somebody run back a kick, those are the type of things you need in a great season. So I'm ready to see it.
And yeah, let me
what's going on, guys?
Go ahead.
Let me just say one more thing real quick. You talked about when you were on the show when Kelvin Benjamin was drafted. Well, my first appearance on this podcast was this year at draft night. And right before DJ Moore was drafted, I was going on a spiel about how I hope we don't draft DJ Moore. Well, now I'm hoping that I was just really, really stupid.
Yeah.
And said and made a bad football take, because DJ Moore is a Panther, Damiere Byrd is a Panther, and so is Curtis Samuel. And if you like them or not, I'm pulling for them because they are a Panther.
Well, I think, and in your defense, Cody, is that when you're talking draft speculation, it's 100% speculation. So, for instance, for me, going back to that Devin Funchess call earlier, it has nothing to do with Devin Funchess, honestly. It has to do with what we did to get Devin Funchess that I was upset with. So it's not, so you know what I mean? So like what your referendum or on a player may be, like we don't want this guy here, doesn't mean that that player isn't good or you don't want that player. Is that you were just hoping to get a different guy at 25. Those are the types of things I think we have to remind. That's what's great about the draft, but also tough to realize about the draft as well.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your boy, the Black Cat, Brandon Herbert, and
what's up, Brandon?
I'm gonna make this pretty quick tonight. But I just was thinking, and I really was thinking all over it. Do you think, I don't think I'm overreacting, but do you think that Ron Rivera, like, I'm almost done with Ron Rivera, because do you really think that Ron Rivera has taken this team to the height that it should be? You know, maybe
get out of here with
Ron Rivera already maxed out on his potential, because if we got, I mean, you can't. This is his 8th year, and he's horrible at time management. He's never been great at time management, and he's a defensive coach, which makes it worse because being a defensive coach, you should know how to be better at that.
That is like actually
that's your forte.
The best point that I
you know, he's horrible at time management. That's never changed.
Like you want to play a clock game
from my eyes, like you're not there at practice every day. He's not starting the people that are more talented. Like F.A. Umbata in that game belonging against the Giants, he had like 3 or 4 pressures, almost had a strip sack. And he's only playing like a handful of snaps. Like, and I don't know what's going on with Mario. Hopefully by the time Davis come back, he'll give the defense more energy and everything like that. You know, how many times does he have to say after the game that he's going to start he's going to give DJ more touches and Curtis more touches and everything? It's ridiculous. Like, I get it. First of all, I think we should just cut our losses with Devin Funchess and Torrey Smith. But I get if you want to start Devin Funchess, but to have Torrey Smith out there and not get separation, dropping balls and stuff like that is asinine. If you think about, we have other weapons. You saw what in the limited amount. You saw what our receivers can do with DJ and Curtis Samuel. So, I mean, if you're not going to put out the best product, why are you there? Maybe we need a better coach. Maybe we need an offensive-minded coach. Like, because our defense with Luke, I'm telling you, our defense with Luke will be okay. I'm tired of all this zone running. The zone is not that great. And like I said, y'all like Brad Beard, I get it, and I'm not going to harp on that again. But he's just an average cornerback to me. Like, I think he's going to be a way better cornerback.
I should ice up Brandon because.
But anyway, guys, like I was thinking about that the whole time, and I'm
he
like,
knows his time's out. Look, Brandon he knew the clock was up. 3 minute. Brother, thank you, Brandon.
So okay, look, I'm gonna if I might volunteer to go first on this.
Go ahead.
Because Brandon and I lately have been disagreeing on a lot of different things, mainly whether or not I'm covering up too much for Cam Newton's play, or whether or not Norv Turner's been calling a good game. But listen, man, I understand a lot of where he's coming from. And as time goes on, it is frustrating. Because I said this in our post-game show. The fact that it's been, since 2014, 15, that we've had a good team, talent all around the field, and we let teams back into the football game. Or we have timeouts that are just wasted on absolute nonsense or clock management. And I'm stuck in this weird purgatory where, Ron Rivera has been a coach of a playoff football team for the last, 3 of 4 years? Something like that, give or take. So Ron Rivera has won Coach of the Year 2 times. So I'm not saying that Ron Rivera is a trash can. I'm not
Brandon
saying that
is.
Yeah, Brandon obviously is. So I'm not as harsh on Ron Rivera as Brandon is.
You know what? This is Brandon says he's the best trash can you ever had. That's what he's going to say. He's like a really nice trash can that's got a lid, but he's still a trash can.
Yeah. But, I think as time moves on, Ron Rivera's flaws are more apparent than they ever have been. And another thing that I'm not a fan of is that they don't seem to be getting better. Cam Newton's completion percentages are up, and he's doing things better, and we have players that are doing things better over time. But the areas that Ron Rivera lacks in, he's not getting better at. He's terrible at managing the play clock. And he is very conservative. And, I don't want to go off on too long of a tangent, but we talk about the difference between Norv Turner and Mike Shula. Well, how much of it is Ron Rivera saying, no, we're not going to do that. When we're up by a touchdown or 10 points, we're going to run the football.
I don't believe it's that, dude.
And I'm the head coach, and that's the way it's going to be because I'm the head coach.
I don't believe it's that. I look at Ron Rivera. I look at the Ron Rivera on the sidelines, and I don't feel like he's like arguing with the coordinators. Like, no, we ain't doing that. Like, you gonna go, Ron? They'll be like this, Ron. We want to pass the ball. He'll be like, no, it's Ron Rivera time. I don't look at him and go, I don't think that. All right, so here, I agree. A couple of things. Like, you want to talk about weaknesses of Ron Rivera? Sure. Look, it's hard for me to argue that the clock management thing, from, like he said, ironically, from a defensive coach who wants to make it a clock management game, who wants to make every second remarkably important, is not good when it comes to his own seconds being important. That is ironic right there.
Yeah, it's very ironic. And, I want to shout out Tim Tizzy in the chat. One thing that is on Ron Rivera's side is he does very well in the month of December, when the football you play matters the most. Crunch time. And that is something that's in Ron Rivera's favor. But this is the last point I'll have on Ron Rivera. He doesn't deserve the nickname Riverboat Ron.
That's true. That's all bullshit. It was all fake. That was all national media did that.
This notion of Ron Rivera being a gambler that, hey, you better watch out on any 3rd and 1, Ron Rivera will go for it no matter where he's at on the field. That's all bullshit. Sorry, pardon my French, but that's what it is. Ron Rivera is one of the more conservative coaches in the NFL, and it sticks out when you do have a Sean McVay, and when you do have a Shanahan, and when you do have all of these offensive-minded coaches, that they're breaking records in the NFL right now. The NFL has never had this many touchdowns or passing yards in the history of the NFL. So they're doing things different, and Rivera is a throwback. And we just have to deal with that.
I think that, all right, I agree. I mean, I understand a little bit. I guess I can understand where the frustration could be. But I don't think it is as bad as people are making it out to be. A couple of things is like you guys have talked about, is that, look, this team has been, and you could say this, I have heard people say that the only reason that this is the case is because Cam Newton is quarterback. But at the same time, I just think this is Ron Rivera has been able to hold this locker room through some really tough times. We went through, I believe, several times we've started off just horrendously, and he's been able to keep the guys from falling apart. I don't think he's that bad. I do think this is that could he improve on some of those things when it comes to clock management, this and that. Turns out he's not as more. I think he's a personality guy. He's good at being a strong, steady force. If he wavers, that's a problem. I do think that I'll continue to be a little bit critical about this, is that, look, I think that we're hesitant to play younger guys at times. I thought this is I used to be so critical about John Fox not being a guy who could coach up young players. He wasn't. He was a veterans coach. But I thought that Ron Rivera actually did a good job getting a lot out of younger players. And that truly is the case. The problem is that Ron Rivera doesn't place, I don't think, enough faith in young players. Kind of an old hat there. So to me, I'll remind this is a good guy. Who do you really want? But it's kind of bullshit to pull out Sean McVay, and I think it's kind of weak sauce to pull out Sean McVay and Andy Reid as the examples when right now they have the most explosive offensive players in the history of the world.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's a little.
That's a great point. I will forward you that point all day. They have playmakers everywhere: running back, offensive line, wide receiver. I mean, they have it.
Look at this. What do you think? Look at the LA's offense. Yeah, and you got to think about this: is that Todd Gurley is arguably the best football player in the NFL right now. It's really true. And he's like a side note. He's like barely even like, you're like, oh, we got Todd Gurley.
The Los Angeles Rams are a problem. They're a problem for everyone. And but anyone that's looking around the NFL knows that. The last thing I'll say on Ron Rivera, one guy that we talk about very negatively is a mini Silatolu. We better thank our lucky stars for a mini Silatolu. You want to know why? Because if he's on the team, he gets hurt, and then Ron has to play Andrew Norwell. He comes back on the team, gets hurt, and Ron Rivera has to play Taylor Moton. And by the way, Taylor Moton might be one of the best offensive players on our entire team already.
Yeah.
So,
well, and like my last point on this coaching staff is it's easy to talk crap about the coaching staff, and sometimes it's deserved. But we're 3-1 right now, and if I feel like you throw in some of the injuries that we've faced in this season, you get the offensive line, and then losing Olsen and all these things, we could have been 1-3. You know, yeah. I mean, is that not a testament in a little bit, maybe? So we'll see. I'm not ready. I'm ready to stick with this. Is like, look, this car is running it gets me where I need to go at this point. Now, if we get to the Super Bowl again, we get out-coached, then you're going to get me on the team.
C3, what's up? It's Mario from the Quay, now in L.A. I just want to talk about the last series of the game there, which I'm sure at this point has already been talked about at length. But just the way everything went down, you've got this
perfect call,
short yardage situation with the time running down, and the play call is a run with McCaffrey to get the first. And then when he's down, I don't think he got it.
It
was like he didn't get it. And we didn't hear, from the announcers at least, they didn't say, oh, they're rolling it a first down. Cam had already put the offense in motion to get back up to the line to clock it. And so if New York had a timeout and reviewed it, that could have gone a completely different direction, but it didn't. And then obviously Graham coming out to kick that winning field goal, which I'll be honest, I didn't think he had a shot in hell. I'd like to get y'all's honest thoughts on that as well, just in terms of when you saw the field goal unit coming out. I mean, I was
all
thinking
this
no
shit
way.
about Graham Gano,
and not even because I didn't have faith in him or what. I mean, it could have been anyone out there. I just, in those kind of situations, you're just like, oh man, there's no way. And then we've all heard this is another quick point I wanted to mention. I'm sure that most of us have heard the Spanish announcing call by this point, which we've got the best Spanish announcing team in the league. I mean, there's no one that can compare. And every time these guys, I believe Luis Moreno is one of them. Forgot the other gentleman's name, but every time they do a call like this, it gets play on the NFL Network, ESPN. I don't hear that coming from anyone else. Anyways, here's my point. Quick Spanish lesson. He's saying at the end, Gano lo ganó, which means Gano won it. because Gano in Spanish, the infinitive for it to win is ganar, but to conjugate that in the first person, G-A-N-O, Gano, is I win, or in the past third person tense, Gano, is he won. So he's literally saying Gano lo ganó, Gano won it, and Gano's name literally means in Spanish, I win or he won. So that's pretty cool, right?
Wow.
Anyways, guys, have a great podcast. Talk to you soon.
Mario.
Le ha sobrado distancia, le van a servir. Tiene altura, tiene profundidad, va a llegar, va a llegar. ¡Gano lo ganó! 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 ¡Señor! ¡Gano lo ganó! ¡Gano lo ganó! ¡Ya se le va a los gatos! ¡Taca, taca, taca, taca! ¡Ya se le va
That's my favorite part.
That was so good. Mario, thank you for that call, man. I enjoy learning about other cultures and other languages. I have since I've been very young. I love that. I didn't know it. That was awesome. Thank you for the call, man. That was awesome. I love to learn that kind of stuff.
Real talk, though, on the clock management and play calling, this and that, is that I was disappointed coming out of the bye. Again, real criticism about Ron Rivera is how this team is not particularly motivated after a bye week. And I think that showed in that first series. I thought we were just not crisp on the offense. We were backed up. I mean, it's not even I think. It's true. It's like we got backed up, penalty, this and that, where all of a sudden we're back on like the 1 yard line trying to run the damn ball out. It wasn't a good start. I felt like we forgot how rocky of a start that was at that point. That last minute, a minute and 8, man, it would have been nice to have an extra timeout there. We wasted timeout.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Ian Thomas catch was in the first or second half. I thought it was the second. But at the same time, I don't think you challenge that. I think it's too close. Anytime the catch rule is involved, it's a little too risky to do that. So I think there were real questions down there at the end, but not a single one of us felt great when that Graham Gano. First of all, thank you, Luis Moreno. He's right. And God, man, that was a damn kick right there.
Yeah, it was. That was incredible. And I said Mario. If your name is Luis Moreno, I apologize.
No, Luis Moreno is the guy that calls the games in Spanish.
Oh, okay. I'm all the way dumb. Yeah, listen, I love that. Yeah, no doubt we have the best Spanish announcers in the game. And the NFL, every year, they're putting a game in Mexico. So they're trying to get more Hispanic viewers. Hey, if you are of Latin descent, there's never been a better time to be a Carolina Panther fan.
Joe Riolano, that freaking Puerto Rican.
Yeah, this is AJ. I just called Tony. Go ahead and delete that mess, man. I didn't know how long I had or whatever. It's fine. But anyways, I'm gonna redo this. So I was at the game for the first time this season yesterday. 63-yard field goal to win. Right? Shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. But Graham Gano takes too much heat. Okay, the man was lined up on the 45, knocking down 55-yarders. Boom, boom, boom. Same spot, does not move. Turns around and kicks the opposite field, 65 yards in the net down the middle. He's a beast. Just got to give him more opportunities. Ron.
That's on Ron,
anyway,
right?
Also, I love Ron, and I know Ron takes a lot of heat. And best coach, whatever y'all are talking about.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Look,
I don't really go with it because yesterday, the game I was at, I know I didn't get to see it from home, but we actually threw the ball a lot. If I'm not
35
messing
times.
up here,
I think
Cam threw 35 times.
Yep.
First half, on point. Second half, dude, I don't know what it is, but the zip is not coming out. He's floating them. I don't know why.
A little
but he could have had a couple more picks. Easy. Love Cam. But he's forcing it to Torrey. He's forcing it to Funches sometimes. But Funches, he's balling. He's doing his thing. But DJ Moore was open like 5 other times. Cam is not looking at him. And I think it might have something to do with the scheme, getting used to it, getting used to the new players. but he had a touchdown over the top. But he went to Torrey Smith instead for a couple of throws.
What a call.
Look, Torrey just ain't doing it.
From top to bottom.
He's just not doing it yet. Okay, but that's offense. That's fine. The defense, from what I could see, where I was sitting at, the defensive line isn't getting the sacks we want them to, but I think it's to do with the young guys in the secondary. You got Jackson, he's awesome. Like, you know, he plays good, but he makes mistakes. Golden makes mistakes. Eric Reed was making mistakes yesterday. Adams was balling. Bradbury had 4 good plays. You take those 4 good plays away, he didn't have that great of a game. It's just period. They're not doing their job in the zone scheme, and the quarterback is getting rid of the ball so fast. I'm telling you, Eli throwing darts over the linebackers because you don't have the same. Everybody's not gelling right now on defense. And when Thomas Davis comes back, we'll have our blitzer. He's the best blitzing linebacker on our team. He will make sure we'll have pressure from him if nobody else.
It's like the call.
Mayo's good. He's not TD. Next week's going to be different. 4 weeks from now, I said this on my last call. Last call was garbage. I didn't like it. Didn't like the way I felt about it.
Oh, he got cut off. Best call ever. Way to finish on top. Not best call ever because you guys make great calls, every single one of you. But that's a great call from top to bottom. He's there, Cody. He's feeling the flow of the game. I think he's on to a lot of things right there. Look, the Panthers did throw the ball 35 times, but there are some continued questions. One of the things that I brought up in the post-game show, Cody, was where's the zip from Cam a little bit? It looks like it's been like he's trying. Like when he throws it, he used to be able to throw a 20-yarder and it not look like he was trying to throw a 20-yarder. Now it looks like he's trying to put everything into his throws.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's time. We might need to say the name Voldemort. We might need to say something that we haven't spoken of, I don't know, maybe ever on this show. And I want to ask you, Tony. I want to ask everyone in our chat room, Tyler, Underground West, Brandon, Ryan Hart. I want everyone's input on this. The more I think about this, ever since Cam Newton had his shoulder surgery on that throwing arm, we have not seen a consistent deep ball from Cam Newton. And if you even remember on the play that we showed y'all, I said that Cam Newton sees Jarius Wright over the top. Cam Newton sees that he's wide open, and he hesitates and didn't throw the pass. Now, I'm not saying that Cam Newton can't do it anymore,
or that his shoulder is all jacked up or something.
Yeah,
it's just that have you seen a change?
But I'm saying maybe Cam Newton's confidence about that deep pass is a little bit shook. Now, I don't know if this is true. That's why I'm putting this out there. I'm putting the feelers out there. But I have noticed that since he has come back last year and this year, the deep pass from Cam Newton has not been what it once was.
Well, it certainly hasn't connected. That's for sure. So it's been one of those things for the last 2 years. We've always been like this. Well, maybe Cam threw it wrong. He threw it far. He didn't throw it far. Or the receiver, you know, it's always been something. And I think to some case it's been a little bit of that this year. It's always been something. But I agree. You look at Cam at this time, and this is coming from a dude that says, look, I think that the long ball has been an asset for Cam Newton, not a deterrent. Like you guys talk about his pass efficiency and his completion rate and all this. I think throwing a 90-yard bomb from your knees is an amazing thing, and that makes up for the 4 passes you missed that were 2 yards. So
one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL.
I agree.
When he's doing it.
Yeah, I really felt like for a long time that the deep ball was the positive to his game. I would say this at this point, just we're still waiting for it to connect. It hasn't been the strength of the game. But again, we go back to Torrey Smith, 40% He's let a couple, you need one or two of those passes connect, and maybe we're not as critical or questioning it, but I think he's right. I agree 100%. I've been watching it, and I watch the ball come out sometimes, and it's a little ducky.
Yeah, but then on the underneath throws, the throws that typically in his career he hasn't been the best at, some of those have been just money. It's like there's been a role reversal here. And
I don't think he's hurt. I don't think he's tremendously hurt. I just think it's about clicking.
Yeah, and also Ted Ginn was reliable. He had a connection with Ted. He knew that if Ted was on that go route, just throw it. Ted will be at the end of the play where he needs to be. And I think that he's still building up that trust with Curtis Samuel and Torrey Smith, and then eventually DJ Moore, and that's going to take time too. So we might not see it for a while. I don't know.
And his shoulder can't be but so hurt when he blasts a dude on a block like that.
Oh, and I'm not even saying that his shoulder is hurt. I'm saying that maybe his confidence.
That's the point. I see.
Yeah, one in the receiving core, and two, just in his players to be at the right place at the right time. Maybe that trust isn't there yet. That's all I'm saying.
Look, Reinhardt, I gotta read this comment off the YouTube chat just because it's involving my favorite player. Cameron Artis-Payne has just been completely wasted by Ron Rivera. I will be glad when the Ron Rivera era comes to an end. This might be the most convincing part to me about Ron Rivera being a bad coach. Is that, simply put, I just feel bad for Cameron Artis-Payne. He was a little bit older of a back. He had so many carries in college as it was. And our ass is like, you got to play on our team, but we will never allow you to be a part of our team. It's just, and I mean, I understand at this point, like, I don't think that Cameron Artis-Payne should get a hat over some of the guys, specifically since we brought in C.J. Anderson. But it is a little unfortunate and kind of just shitty when it comes to Cameron Artis-Payne. That motherfucker is over there like 27 years old, and he can't even get a hat on Sundays, and he's productive. So that lends to me. Let's see this. This might be his original call.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, I'm sorry, ran out of time. I'm good. Good, fellas. First time calling. Name's A.
All right, we're all done. That is the call he told us to detract, so we got it in the right order. Guys, look, is that this has been a phenomenal series of calls. The Cat Calls line, the number is 252-228-5098. You guys have driven a phenomenal discussion tonight. We appreciate that. If you are in the YouTube chat, we ask you to turn your phone to portrait mode and to smash that thumbs up button. We've had 40 people watching this show live. I want 40 likes, brother. Give me them 40 likes right now. I'm telling you, it helps. Smash it. It's there. Call into the Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. Let's move this discussion on and keep going and close this show out, Cody. We got to look ahead briefly to the Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins suffered defeat when it comes to playing the New Orleans Saints. It was a tough get for them to go on the road. But I look at the Washington Redskins, I see a team that's not particularly great. I see Alex Smith continue reverting back a little bit to who he used to be, a guy that couldn't push the ball down the field. I want to remind everyone that you guys used to say that Paul Richardson was going to be the savior of the Carolina Panthers, and he's the number one receiver of the Washington Redskins. Go. How's that look for everybody? But really, I think the Panthers got to go on the road. They can get this win. I believe we can continue to trudge forward, even if it's not pretty. I think this is a team you got to beat, and you can beat.
Yeah, and real quickly, because I have a few important thoughts about this game coming up. But to what Tony just said, guys, we want y'all to know that this is your show. I mean, to everyone in the chat, you drive our show. And we mean that. We talk about what you want to talk about. Because this is for Panthers fans by Panthers fans. So you're doing this with us, man. We've had more cat calls than ever before. You interacting with the show has made this show better than it ever has been. Continue the love, continue the support. We see you, we hear you, and you are the motor that pushes this car down the road, baby. That's all I got to say. But listen, man, this game, I want to prepare you because you're going to have a hot take. They're going to compare the Panthers and what we do against Washington to what the New Orleans Saints did to Washington at the Dome. And it's an unfair comparison, number one, because the Saints were at home and Drew Brees, everyone was watching him on Monday night to make history. I mean, that was a huge moment for him. But also, we're a different football team. We're going to run the ball a whole lot more than the Saints did. And honestly, it should be an interesting matchup because if my memory serves me correct, the Reds, they're not bad against the run. So they know what we want to do, and they probably think that they can handle that matchup. So don't jump into the text that even if we win, even if it's a little bit brutal, oh, the Saints are the best team in the NFC South. Don't buy into that. Don't buy into that. It's way too early. You have to judge this game for what it is. It's the Panthers versus the Washington Redskins in FedEx Field, where traditionally we have played very well. Cam Newton has played very well. I'm feeling positive moving forward. I think this is a confidence builder that
not an easy game, but one we need to win.
Builds the confidence because it's not easy. If we go in there and we win, that says something about who we are right now. I'll tell you that for sure.
Listen to these comments in the chat room. This is Panthers Guide FSU 23. The Redskins game is not going to be a walk in the park. This Skins team is pissed off and at home. Jetador follows up with this. Second week in a row we play a team a week after they play the Saints.
Yeah, how about that?
Like, the Saints are out there just motivating teams to play us next, right?
Yeah.
Not an easy game. I think this is what we got to say about the Giants game, too. No game's easy. Winnable and needable. We need to win this game there. I think that we can do it, but again, this team is not going to lay down for us.
Not at all. No, not at all. And listen, Josh Norman is there. And here's another stat.
Boy, has Michael Thomas, did you see how much shit he talked to Josh Norman?
Yeah, but Josh Norman started it, though, as he normally does. He was up on Michael Thomas fast and early. And listen, Josh Norman's pissed off because his numbers have not been very well this year. So I'm interested, and Josh and Cam, they're friends. So I'm interested to see that dynamic. How many times does Cam Newton try Josh? Try and fit it in that window, or try and be the older brother to the little brother, even though I think Josh is probably older.
Right.
Yeah, but it'll be an interesting matchup. I like our offense. If Cam has some time in the pocket, and I like the matchup. I honestly do like the matchup. I like Cam to have a good game, better than he did even against the Giants.
Who the Saints got this week, you know?
I have no clue.
I'm just trying to think here. Saints schedule. Let's go ahead and close this show out. I mean, we got to do our ice up picks. We still got a little bit more to go, but we're almost done, folks. Thank you for tuning in. The number to the Cat Calls line is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. 5098. I'm getting a little Miller Lightish. On top of that, I drank some real big boy beers earlier this afternoon. On top of that is we've got you can follow us on Twitter. We ask you to subscribe to the show, smash the thumbs up button. The Saints got this coming up. It looks like this is 10-12 21. They got to play. How about this? Take this, these mugs. All right, so they have a bye. But listen to this schedule for the Saints. You assholes, I love it. They got to come off the bye. They got to play the Ravens, the Vikings, the Rams, the Bengals, the Eagles, the Falcons. All in a row, bro. The Saints are about to get beat up, bro. This is our division to win. Carolina Panthers, think of this. The Saints, yes, they have to play the Ravens. They have to play the Vikings. They got to play the Ravens in Baltimore. They got to play the Vikings in Minnesota. The Rams come to their house, but then they got to go to Cincinnati. Then they host the Eagles. This has to be one of the tougher runs for any team in the league. So, ha, you bitches. We about to take number 1. That's right. We coming for you. We are coming for you. All right.
That's what happens when you win the division. You get a first-place schedule, baby, and all those teams are hungry, and they want to smear that gold off the helmets. We got to capitalize, man. Games like the ones coming up, we got to win them. They matter down the road.
All right, so how about this? Tell me what you think. Do the Panthers win this game against the Redskins?
I do.
I agree.
I do think so. I'm going to dial back my prediction, though. I've been predicting the Panthers to win big, and they kind of haven't been, or they definitely haven't been. So I'm actually going to do the reverse and hope I jinx it in the reverse. But also they have to prove otherwise that they can get a big win over a team like this. I'm saying 24-17, Carolina Panthers beating the Redskins at home at FedEx Field.
Yeah, I'm 24-20, the Panthers. All right, so look, this show is gone and gone and gone. We have so much more I want to talk about, but this is the end. Let's go ahead and ice these suckers up. Cody, I'm going to go first tonight because I bet you have a better ice-up pick than me. My ice-up pick goes to the fan who is perpetually sad. The perpetually miserable fan. I went to a East Carolina Pirates game a week ago. It was a fantastic game. In many ways, was very similar to the Carolina Panthers game. A game where teams traded blow for blow, where you had excitement, where you had disappointment, where you had great plays and blown plays. But this person was miserable. They were miserable the entire time. They were miserable when plays went terrible. They were miserable when plays went well. They continued to say, our quarterback, this was for the ECU Pirates now. Remember, this is not the Carolina Panthers, but this individual was sitting right in front of me. He kept saying this, we don't have a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback. Anytime the quarterback was a quarterback and made a throw, and I wanted to just tap him on his shoulder and be like, we do have a quarterback. That he is a quarterback. Like, he's playing quarterback now, last time I checked. And last time I checked, this was his third start ever in his life. It was his third collegiate game. But this guy's like, he's not a quarterback. He's not a quarterback. We don't got a quarterback. We need a quarterback. If we had a quarterback, it would be great. This isn't going to work. It's not going to work. It's terrible, 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 awful, awful. It's easy to be that person because when things go well, you get to be like, oh, I'm glad they went well. But then every time something goes bad, you're like, I told you they're going to be bad. I'm telling you, folks, we won the damn game. We kicked the 63-yard field goal. Yeah, may have squeaked out a little bit. But damn, be happy. And be happy this. The Carolina Panthers are 3-1. Don't be a pessimistic fan. Be an optimistic fan. Wait until we lose the game to be a pessimistic fan. Save that angst for when we get an L. Not when we get a W. When we get to the playoffs and we lose, save that angst. But when we when we hoist that trophy, shut your damn mouth and be happy. Because it's time to be excited. So I tell you, ice up, my friends. Be happy.
I heard that, man. I heard that. And you're right. Mine, I don't know if I can say that mine
is better.
Your
shit sucked, Tony.
Mine is listen. I'll say this. Mine is more sad. Okay. How about that?
All right.
And when I say sad, I don't mean like, oh, a puppy fell off a cliff and died. No, that's sad. I mean, our world is a fucking cartoon, y'all. It's a cartoon.
Like depressing sad, like internally.
Depressing sad.
All right.
A man by the name of Michael Avenatti, and in case you don't know him, he is the lawyer who represents one Stormy Daniels, a former porn star who now describes Donald Trump's penis as the toad from the Mario games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that image just set in your head for just a little while.
Sear into your brain.
Michael Avenatti challenges Donald Trump Jr. to an MMA fight.
Hell yeah! You don't like this? I'm excited.
I don't want to, Tony. I don't want to.
Bring it.
I don't want to. Listen, I want to see Conor McGregor and Khabib beat the hell out of each other.
By the way, thanks for the links. And those fights, I would argue, were fantastic from top to bottom.
They were, man. I'm a diehard MMA fan. I have been for years. But listen, man, I want to see the professionals. Okay? if I have a glass of wine, I don't want some shit I bought.
I want to watch Stormy Daniels, not Bormy Samuels.
Yeah, I don't want Bormy Samuels, all right? Listen, the fact that the son of our president might fight a lawyer for a porn star who is also thinking about running for president himself. Our world is a fucking cartoon, y'all. It's a cartoon and it's sad. And you know what? I'm supposed to say ice up, son, at the end of this. I don't know who to ice up. Do I ice up? Do I ice up Avenatti? Do I ice up
Bore me. I don't even know what I said would bore me somebody. It was a great name.
Yeah, bore me. You know what? Ice up Bormy Samuels, because that's a perfect representation of America right now. It's what in the hell is even happening anymore? Because I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Tyler say yes. Who would your money be on?
My money is that they both kill each other inside the
octagon. Michael Avenatti, although I like him, I don't have a problem with him. I do think it's messed up that Fox News puts up as his header, creepy porn star lawyer. That's like his name tag on that. I think that's messed up by a news organization.
I'll say this. I think Donald Trump Jr. is the type of guy.
I think he wins.
Who calls 911 over a paper cut, dude.
Oh. Well, maybe Michael Avenatti could win because of that. You're right. But I think he would, like, I think that Trump Jr. would, like, hit him with a shiv or something.
Yeah, he seems like an old, I don't know where he's from, but he seems like the type of guy that has some paraphernalia.
I'd put my money on Stormy. Stormy, that's who I want fighting for me. She's going to fuck you up. Literally.
Stormy versus Ronda Rousey. Make it happen.
There you go. All right, guys. Look, fantastic. Ice up all those people. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 podcast. It goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. My kids make me listen to that crap. This is you can follow us at @cat_chronicles on Twitter. We do the show every Tuesday night. We would love for you to be a participant. Thank you for everybody in the chat room. Like Cody said, you guys drive this show. You are the engine. We are, if you're talking about the little engine that could, you guys are the engine that did or would. So thank you very much for that help right there. The Cat Calls line, his number is 252-228-5098. Subscribe, smash the thumbs up button. Cody, where can they find your work or your Twitter stuff, should I say?
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC on Twitter. Listen, man, I love bullshitting with y'all. Send me messages at me. I'll go back and forth with you. I see my friends in the chat room all the time. Panther Guy, FSU. The Seminoles suck, and you know it. Go Clemson Tigers, baby. Other than that, that's all I got to say. I love y'all. I hope y'all enjoy your evening. until next Sunday when we see y'all again.
All right, fantastic. We'll be here Sunday when we beat those Redskins. They the Deadskins this week, and that is not racist when we say it. Only this week. See you later.